in. Hello everyone. How are you all doing today? Good? Yeah. It's Thursday. It's a good day, right? Tomorrow's the last day of the week. I love that game. Okay, so, all right. I'm that one. He's that one. This is James.
Hi everyone.
We're gonna take you through the game tricks. I'm not going to talk about my company. Oh, I do. Just safe to say, I've made my first game in 1986, so that's 25 years of messing around and playing games. The last 10 years I've probably made about 40. If you want to find out more about Playgen and what we do, I've got a game. Oh, sorry, it's a brochure. No, it's a game. No, it's a brochure. No, it's a game that you can have and sort of stuff. And that's everything you're going to hear about the company, because I'm not here to talk about Playgen. I am here to ask you a very serious question. Do you want the red pill or do you want the blue pill? Because life is full of choices. And some of those choices are things that, you know, we make every day. And some of those choices are things like, ooh, what should I gamify? What is gamification? How do I use them? Which ones do I use? If I'm going to gamify, do I have points? Should I have levels? Should I use status? Is it going to build loyalty? Are we going to increase engagement? Really? All of those. So what do I really need? What's happening? And so, well, you know, we're gaming right now. Right now, believe it or not, we're actually gaming. We're exploring, trying to find new places, trying to find new things. We have the property thing, you know, how much does it cost? I might gazump you, I might buy it before you do, and all of that kind of stuff. That's a bit of a game. Some of us, you know, have more than just computers in our lives. It's not me. So there's a relationship game, you know, how many notches have you got on your bedpost? How many years has it been? Those are all points and levels, folks. We're gaming. And when we socialize, how many friends have you got on your Facebook? You know, oh, I've got 10. You know, how many have you got? And let's not forget, the game. Come on, this is the game. My bank account is my score. And he who dies with the highest score didn't have to say spend it all, so ha ha. But seriously, you know, these are all kinds of games, but why? Why gamify? We've got all this stuff. You know, these guys, Green Goose, reckon that we're going to gamify everything we do. Hey, you brush your teeth. That's a game. Okay, well, we'll see if they will flourish to become a giant kind of consumer electronics thing. Very interesting stuff. They've built something that can measure movement of sorts. You know, use your imagination as to how you gamify. But we'll see. And you know, we can't just say this is some kind of a new religion, because it isn't. Those people are scientists. We should listen to them. We should believe everything they tell us. And you know what these scientists say? And this is absolutely true, and they found this out all by themselves. The gameplay is both compelling and rewarding. Oh shit. Right, so, but really, why gamify? So, yeah, you can achieve better engagement. These three little words are quite an interesting three little word, if done right. And please bear that in mind whenever you see gamification and ask yourself, was it done right? Because yeah, users will invest more time in your product or brand or service, and that's kind of what gamification is all about, essentially, getting people to become loyal customers. What is a loyal customer? Well, you know, he's sitting over here. He camped for a week, for a whole week, in the rain, in the cold, in the day and the night. Why? Because he wanted to get his hands on a new iPad. That is loyalty, guys. If you want to know loyalty, that's loyalty. That's brand loyalty. You'll go and stay somewhere for 5 days to get your hand on something. Why? Because it costs 3 times as much to acquire a new customer than what you need to spend on an existing one to keep them. So it's better to sell to the person that you sold to last year. Again, it's better to sell them more stuff than trying to get new people. It just works. So here's the science. What makes up games? Games are made out of a system of things. There is some components and an environment where the game is played, and that could be, you know, on a computer, that could be out in space. There are some behavioral elements, players, you know, there's people, and the context that they're playing in. And then there's a whole other set of things, some rules, some mechanisms, there's a theme, there's an interface, and all of this stuff together creates gameplay. That's a pretty abstract way of looking at a game, but just to take from that, it takes many different elements. So, we're here, we've already gone through 5 minutes of what we're talking about, so we are some way through the game, and we're going to have to speed up.
Yeah.
So, building our world. First stage, define gameplay and the rules of gameplay. Can I have a show of hands? Who has made a game here in the last 5 years? Okay, all right, that's a good, solid 10% of you. Can I also get a show of hands of anyone who didn't put their hand up before? Anyone who's thinking of making a game in the next 5 years? All right, okay, so there are just as many people in here wanting to make games in the next 5 years as we had last time. And the other folk who didn't put your hand up at all, is it that you just found this place by accident, or are you hoping that, you know, you might use this as a way of leveraging this stuff for what you do? Well, that's a rhetorical. I hope that's a yes. Otherwise,
Yeah.
Ah, great. That's a good game. I really like free games. It's a good one. Thanks for your honesty there. That's really appreciated. So back to our game mechanisms and rules that create fun. Rules, folks, it's about rules. Here's a rule, or a mechanic. What is it, James?
It's difficulty. Difficulty is basically pitching challenges at a sort of level that basically when you start off it's an easy sort of experience, and as you get on it starts becoming harder and harder, and you start learning that you're mastering the game, and you actually feel some sort of intrinsic reward for playing the game.
Okay, so difficulty. There's another one.
Levels. Traditionally, levels are basically running around with the Super Mario games, jumping up and down on platforms. But now, in the world of social games, levels actually define a lot of things. Levels define how good you are in a social environment, how good you are at this game, how sort of like ranking sort of thing. I think that's, yeah, I think that's.
Well, I can do levels. I can do rewards. So we'll give you a badge. You come and sign on, we'll give you a badge. If you do this, we'll give you a badge. If you tweet, we'll give you a badge. If you go somewhere, we'll give you a badge. Don't look around, just go and check in, we'll give you a badge. Folks, that's going to be very interesting if it's going to be badgification, because I go to places because I want to go to places, not because I want a badge. What kind of a person would go somewhere just to check in? Some of you are in here, I know. Time. Yeah. So that's a good game. We're now 7 minutes into our presentation. So there's a time, there's a game mechanic, and it's getting shorter and shorter and shorter. And as it gets shorter, you'll notice I'll start looking faster. And eventually...
resource management, my favourite. So it's basically players controlling different resources. So this could be anything from different commodities. So for example, this is Pharaoh. I've got to get so much stone to build my pyramid, and obviously I get some sort of reward of seeing the pyramid being built.
Oh, this one, never heard of it. What's the point? Point. What is the point? Well, the point is that the point is meaningful in that giving me a point for doing something I was going to do anyway, where I can't swap it for something real or something meaningful, is meaningless. And if you try and pointify whatever it is that you're trying to do, it'll fail, because people will initially go, oh yeah, this is just like being at school, but I'm 43 and I don't want to be doing this. Oh, I get points for it. I'll do it today, but tomorrow I'll come back and I'll realize yesterday's points were meaningless, so I'm not going to do them tomorrow. So points are only meaningful when they mean something back in the real world. So auction is another.
Auction's a lovely little mechanic where all of us like to use in online games. I'm sure everyone has played the eBay game, where auctioning and buying and selling items, usually in a social environment.
I get a little heart flutter when the numbers are counting down and I'm the highest kind of bidder, and I'm sat there going, don't do it. And if somebody else does, it's awful. But if I give up someone, if I only use one of those e-snipes to get him light at 6 seconds before we go, it's so sweet. And we like to take turns. Turns are an intrinsic mechanism of games. You know, I do something, then you do something, then you do something. And that works very well. Here's something that we don't see very often in gamification.
Capture it. So basically taking hold of an opponent's entity. This could be anything from, as an example, taking hold of a hostage in Counter-Strike. I don't actually recommend you taking hostages in gamification, but it could be quite an interesting way of doing it.
Okay, so those are just some of the game mechanics, and we've deliberately steered away from the usual suspects, as you probably have heard of them and know about them.
Can you read the red one?
Yes, of course. There are, roughly speaking, 3 different types of mechanisms. There are behavioral mechanisms, things to do with your human behavior and the way you're doing things with your psyche. There are, and that's to do with, you know, the way you interact with the entities. Progression mechanisms are really to do with the structure of how you're getting through. So your levels and points and all of those things, they're progression stuff. Feedbacks, they could be social, of other people giving you feedback, or it could be the system giving you a feedback based on what you did. Gameplay is really born out of all of these 3 mechanisms, the behavioral, the progression, and the feedback elements, all interacting with each other. So you can't just have a load of progression stuff and expect good gameplay out of it. Something that, again, bear in mind as designers. So we have Bruce Garriott. Gameplay should be always fun, otherwise your players won't continue the experience. I disagree with this. That's nonsense. Gameplay should evoke an emotional response. It could make you upset. It could make you happy. It could give you elate. It could give you sadness. It could make you frustrated or angry. It should elicit an emotional response. It does not need to be fun. Of course, there should be some fun somewhere. Otherwise, where's the game? So, victory conditions. We all like to win, and games are built on that. But what are some of the victory conditions out in the world of games and gamification? So, goals and objectives.
Our specific outcomes are basically the player has to complete in order to progress within the game.
Very good. Find Sarah's killer. That's a good one. Checkpoint?
Basically, it's a reference point where players progress within the game world. This is basically used in the racing games.
Yeah, and actually it can be a bit broader, so it could be places that you got to. So your checkpoint in LinkedIn is you have filled in this bit, and now you need to do this bit in order to progress. So checkpoints are broader than just racing, but it does come from that genre. Elimination?
Yeah, so it's the lovely goal to wipe your opponent out or an entity out. A lot of people get power motivation from this.
And a race. This could be to reach somewhere first before others. This could be to accumulate more of something than others. We're all in the Twitter race, follower race. We're all in a lot of other stuff that we just discussed initially. But again, this is a kind of a victory condition.
And a lovely one, which I enjoy because I'm actually a world conqueror civilization, is actually just, its territory control is basically a land grab. So obviously the example of grabbing countries, and I'm sure the UK government is paying land grab at the moment.
Well, yeah, absolutely. Now, what with Iceland? But territory control is really a little bit broader than that in this context. So this could be the number of viewers you have on your YouTube. This could be any kind of commodity or a thing that you can accumulate and hold on And in the context of a brand where you're competing with others, territory control is people who are devoted to you, who have come to you, who are giving you loyalty, and are not going to other brands. So in that instance, territory is customers. And so, you can think about it in those terms. So gamification. We've got 5, well, how much time have we got? Couple of minutes. Okay. Couple of minutes. Right, so, when you're making a soup, or like you're making some food, and like someone comes along and goes, just add some salt, right? Right, yeah, so if it's really horrible, then you could just add some salt, yeah, that'll make it better. That's not true. If whatever it is you're trying to do, if the underlying thing sucks, if your soup is horrible, you can't just add salt to it. And if you see people, and I've seen it a lot, folks, especially the last 3 or 4 months, this is gamification. Just add a bit of gamification. Your product sucks. Just add a bit of gamification to it. It's like that soup. Be really, really worried about people that will come along and tell you that if you add gamification, your product will suddenly transform. Because it ain't going to be that. If your stuff sucks, it sucks. How do you stop it sucking? Well, let's go back to school, but the school of people. Actually, gamification is about people. It's about a way of engaging with people. It's about reaching into their minds and into their aspirations and giving them something, a glimpse of little something beyond what it was that they were trying to do. But what are those things that drive us to do things? We are driven by things like curiosity and acceptance. We're driven by things like independence and power and a need for social contact. These are the things that we innately strive for. And folks, it's not just us sitting in this room. It's not just all the hairless apes, well, some of us less hairy than others, that strive for all of these things. Whether you're a reptile or a bird, you still strive for these things, right? This is innate to being a living creature. Obviously, at our level, we're a lot more enlightened than, say, monkeys, but except, we still have the same thing. So think about those. Think about how do I construct that experience so I can engage on expressing people's personal identities, so I can give them a sense of community, give them a sense of worth and well-being, giving and getting help. This stuff goes deep. So essentially, and since we're out of time, there's quite a few other things I wanted to show you. But essentially, this is the magic machine of gamification as they would have you believe. That your website and your content and your branding goes in. Then we add a bit of identity and status and mastery and achievement. Then we socialize it and pointify it and levelify it and leaderboards and rewards and virtual goods, and we add some metrics to it, and you know what? Every single time we'll get this engaging experience that gets you results. I don't really believe that, actually. It's there as a kind of a warning that you will see this time and time again. But remember, this machine is actually based on psychology. Gamification is 10% game design, 90% psychology. And if you get that right, if you get that user experience right, it doesn't matter whether you use points or levels, you're going to have loyal people that want to come back and engage with what it is that you're doing. We have got like a minute, just a minute. I'm not going to talk to you about understanding human behavior, but with the minute that we've got, I just want to show you a few little nuggets, something for you to take away and perhaps you can use in your projects. See, this is how it's gone. That last guy's looking at, actually, what I want is I want to do another one with a guy holding an iPad at the end. Right, James.
So the original leaderboards, like the arcade machines, you come into them and you see someone with 1 million points, you're like, my God, I'm never going to get on that leaderboard, so what do we do now? So
this is what we do.
Yeah, Foursquare uses a leaderboard where basically you're always in the middle between your friends, so you're always having a sensitive to play.
So if you're going to use leaderboards, think about how you always end up in the middle. If you're going to use point systems, and they're very good at this, Fights folks, think about how points have evolved. points for growing anything, points for this, points for that. It's everywhere, right? But they show power, they show currency, they show connections, they show all of these things. That's what they're there to represent, not merely points that define. Levels?
So the original levels, so there's the lovely Super Mario platform. Now the evolved levels is my crime organisation on Facebook. Which,
yeah, sorry.
Yeah, well basically with the levels it's using everything. So my gameplay is affected, I'm affected, myself, my friends are affected by my levels rather than just myself.
And achievements were things that we achieved before, and now you can pretty much get a badge for going to the toilet. And then we'll see more of that. Badge yeah, absolutely. Which would you like, the round one or the star one?
The star one, please.
That's me. No, well, that's Nina. And that's James. If you want to drop a line, feel free. We love talking games. We love playing games. It's anything to do with games. We're your people. Thank you very much.
Any questions for Kam? This is the time. Maybe 2 or 3 questions.
Okay.
So you slagged the badges off quite badly, and you said that a lot of adults, they don't fall for a lot of that stuff. So let's say you would try to gamify for sort of slightly older market. Which are the
What am I
things
trying to gamify?
So, okay, what are you gamifying? I don't know.
Don't say fill in your tax forms.
Guess you can't gamify that. But let's say maybe finding a route on TFL.
Say that again?
Finding a route on TFL or something like that, which sort of a mundane task, but people, I don't know, for the first time tried out and make the
Finding your route on Chromorama. Oh, for TFL. Chromorama. There you go. Gamify. Have you seen that?
No.
Very good. Check it out. Made by Toby Barnes from a company called Mudlark, and it's Chromorama with CH. Gamified TFL. Yeah, and that's about beautiful, useful. Okay, so in a nutshell, the answer to your question is beautifully executed and useful information just when I want it that is meaningful to me.
So where's the gamification bit?
Where's the gamification bit? Where's the car or the pet in Car Pet? Yeah, just because it's got the word game in it, don't mean it's a game. So don't necessarily look for one. But the gamification bit is really around that interface, that kind of playfulness. It's more around playfulness than the winning and losing of a game, I think. And a playful way of looking at data.
So the gamification there is the interface.
I think so. That's how it's brought to life. It's a playful interface. So you want to do it and you enjoy doing it, and there's a satisfaction in seeing how your journey, and for folks, if you don't know what Chromorama is, it's basically logs everywhere that you go. You can say, I'm popping into Old Street, and I'm now popping out here, and it kind of looks at where everywhere you went, and it shows you a beautiful kind of visualization of your movement and how you did and sort of how long it took you and all of that kind of stuff.
Last question.